Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Descent into Avernus, Road Warriors of Hell, our premiere episode of our two-part premiere. This is Damnation Part 1. Welcome everyone to our brand new game stream here on MTD. We are super excited. I'm excited to have everybody that's around this overlay here, our amazing dungeon master, all of these players. And in just a couple moments, I'm going to turn it over to Vi to start running the show. A couple quick things before we get started. I'm going to keep announcements generally to a minimum. If you're watching our pre-stream or if you hang around during our break, you will see advertising placards. But since this is the first one of the stream, I just want to touch on a couple things really quick. First off, thank you to chat, who before we even started got us to a level 3 hype train. Those who are familiar with Mini Terrain Domain know that we use something called domain dice, a way for you, the viewers, to have a little bit of an impact on the game. In this game, they will appear above my head, and they are called soul coins. And they look a little something like this. Thanks to all of you wonderful people. We are starting off with 9 so far. I want to put that little modifier up there and turn on the first of the soul coins. Like magic, they appear above my head. They let us do things like we can spend 1 coin to re-roll. We can spend 3 coins, 1 to gain advantage, 3 to re-roll, or 5 to make Vi re-roll if we're not too happy with the way the dice came up. But they're a pool that we all get to use. Couple other things, you can type schedule, ! schedule in the chat, of course, at any time to see what our schedule looks like. Tomiko, it is the same domain coin. Commands. Tomiko's trying everything. Well, maybe the chat's not working. The chat commands. At any rate, I lost my train of thought. So, yeah, domain dice. Oh, I know. 2 very important messages before I turn things over is 1, this game is going to be a little darker in tone, potentially. We want to emphasize the fact that we are all adults here playing in a game that may use adult language and contain adult scenarios. That could be language, that could be in forms of violence or anything else. The one thing that is most important about this is that we have all partaken in a session 0 where have all before each game review our lines and veils documents, and we have open communication with one another using safety tools about what and how to handle issues. So rest assured that everyone here, we are doing our best to make sure everybody is safe at the game table. and has the tools necessary within this. If any of this is something that's just not for you, or you hear something that's a little something you don't care for, go ahead and click on any of the other D&D streams that might be happening right now. You can exercise your right to go elsewhere if you don't want to see anything here. So the other thing, kind of piggybacking off of that, we mentioned this before every game stream. It is super important here at MTD that we talk about mental health. And just remind you that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether or not you believe that, it's true. You can, there might be any number of reasons you might be struggling, and we want you to know, first off, it is okay to not be okay. It is, it's perfectly normal to struggle, but you do not have to do so alone. At any time, you can come into the chat and you can type !help, except for now, because apparently for whatever reason, the chat commands don't appear to be working properly. But I will give you, that's going to show up at the bottom of the stream, bottom of the screen. But that is findahelpline.com is the URL that will pop up. A free resource for finding the health services and help services you might need. I encourage you to visit that website and bookmark it, save it for yourself, save it for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I am going to turn it over to our dungeon master, Vi.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Without much further ado, let's just hop into this game now, shall we? Behold the city of Elturel. It is a vast and pristine city sitting on the banks of the river Chionthar. It is a bastion of justice and prestige in these lands. It stands out marble and paramount in the compared to the surrounding wilderness. It has a host of knights for its military, a vast command over the trade, and of course, a very, very domineering chapel, the High Hall of Torm, that commands vast authority through these lands. No, most of all, Elturel, it has something quite supernatural hanging above the sky, above its great marble walls. It is a heatless sun close to the ground, the companion sun, it is called by its locals and from pilgrims far and wide, a gift given by the gods to this city in their most desperate time of need many, many decades ago. And that is the framing of this beginning scene. It is sunset over the city of Elturel. It is the 50th vigil of the Companion, a festival taking place throughout the streets of Elturel. It celebrates the 50th anniversary of the Companion sun being in the sky and having its salvation. And as such, the many, many townsfolk of Elturel, as well as many people who live in the environs and hinterlands of the surrounding the city, have all come and journeyed to this place to partake in the festival. Here you can see all of you. There's tents set up and games and activities. There's contests of strength, of dexterity, contests of drinking as well for those of hardy constitution. There are shows and performers throughout the streets. But here we stand at the center of it all, where the host of the celebrations are being held, here in the town square, at the foot of the Winraran amphitheater, this massive amphitheater built and sponsored by one of the city's nobles. And of course, it has its great stage where many performers and thespians are giving their performances to help celebrate this 50th vigil. And as the sun is hanging low in the sky, beautiful pinks and oranges and reds and blues hang in the sky above you, punctuated by that beautiful pearlescent white that the companion's sun is giving off. We start with you, Zoe. What are you doing here in the festival? Who are you with? What does it look like for you? Describe yourself as well.
Okay. Zoe is a satyr with bright red hair and the light coating of fur that you might see just down her neck that isn't covered by her armor is just this soft strawberry blonde color, and her little hooves are clicking against the stone, and she has the arm of an older human, and she's looking up at him and she's like, "Come on, Uncle Sam, I've got to show you all of this. It's been so long since you've been here." And she's taking this father figure around to the different, parts of the amphitheater and talking about the games and how she was able to talk the temple into allowing her to help set some of the festival up, and she knows how some of these games might work, and she thinks she can beat these games.
There's one that catches your eye. This game that you particularly think that, oh, I know how to beat this. I have a strategy that no one else knows. You drag Uncle Sam, this kind of begrudging old weathered human, this knightly person, over. What game is this? What game is it that you've picked out here?
I think it would be a game where you need to throw a ball or even like a stone into a certain hoop in order to get some sort of prize from it.
Yeah, there's these goat skin balls that are in this huge little basket weaved. And there's someone standing there with a little hourglass ready to flip it over. You have a set number of time, and you see over in the distance, there's this concentric wooden fences built. You got to like throw these goat skin balls in each different ring of this bullseye target. Nets you different points. Of course, closer to the center gives you the most, but you only have a set amount of time as the person hosting this game has that hourglass to time you. And so you step up. You have a plan for this. You've been confident in this. You see the woman there, she smiles, she recognizes you as you are probably a familiar sight, or at least a very, very noteworthy sight here in a town of primarily humans and half-elves and dwarves, that being you, a satyr. You stand out a bit. She gives you a nice, fresh smile, happy to be celebrating away from all the toils of the world, just for a day, just for one little holiday. She holds the hourglass aloft, and she whispers to you. Well, not whispers, it's too loud to whisper, but she gently says, "You ready? You think you can beat our high score of 42 points?
I think I can. I think I'm ready.
All right."
She's
she
very
flips the
confident as she
hourglass.
says this. Oh
She
yeah.
flips the hourglass over. Now
Instant.
you've split seconds to act. This is going to be 3 dexterity rolls from you, please.
Okay. So let's see. My first one is a 12. And then a 16. And then a 9.
As you feel the baskets catch these goat skin balls, and some of them go a bit errant, and you don't score nearly as many points as you like, but you have done way better than maybe even last year's. You've definitely improved. She After the hourglass runs out of sand and out of time, she steps over to look down at the little fences, and she counts them. 37 points, not bad.
She's like, so close. Do better next year.
We go to you, Jacob. Here you are in the festivities, whether as a patron or perhaps even as an employee or worker doing something. It's up to you. What is Jacob doing here at the festival, and who is he with? As well, describe your character, please, for the audience and the fellow characters.
So we see two men dressed in long leather jackets that would indicate to those around that they are inquisitors. One is a blue-skinned Vidalcan, the other an elf. Jacob is the Vidalcan. He is tall, kind of lanky, and with a very kind of a dour look on his face, very serious. You can see that on top of the jacket that he's wearing, underneath there's this black leather and metal collar that goes all the way up from under his chest, all the way up around his jawline to his ears, and is strapped around his nose. It's kind of an odd sight and not one that most people would understand what it would be for. He turns to his companion, just gives that curt nod, and does the motion, like as they separate, him going one way, then going to the other. They are here looking for a suspect.
And who is this companion of yours?
He is another member of his Inquisitor team. I am not good with names. We will say he is Valaris.
Valaris.
Maybe new to the actual group, hence why he is partnered with Jacob.
And probably couldn't get the day off for the festival, huh?
No, unfortunately.
Doesn't have the
not.
seniority for it.
Does not have the seniority. Jacob, of course, is here voluntarily, because why would he be at the fair?
The two of you split up. Who is it that you're looking for, the suspect? What's a detail about them that you're trying to spot in this hectic crowd of festival goers?
We're looking for a man with very curly red hair. A man actually the size of a child, if you will. Looking for a halfling.
The halfling stature is exceedingly difficult to spot here in the throng of crowds partaking in the joys of the festival, whether they're eating foods or playing in games or watching performances. You can give me an investigation roll, please, with disadvantage due to the nature of this halfling.
I couldn't have rolled two opposite numbers. I rolled a 1 and a 17. So
Lost in this crowd. I imagine that many times that you find someone short of stature with curly red hair, and you go to accost them or even try to spy on them before you realize that is just a child playing in some small little hopscotch game, licking some candied treat on a stick. In the end, you end up meeting back up with your companion, Valaris. He takes He takes a puff of a cigarette, of the smoke, and puffs it back out. Nothing. Can't see anything in this place.
There's too many people.
Are you sure they're even here?
I'm never sure about anything. You go over to there. I'm going to head here. And with that, he will find a darkened doorway, a little bit out of the way, but with good kind of view of the square. And we will, I guess, use our skulking ability to just kind of
Yes.
hide.
As you move to find your little skulking corner, a little vendor calls out to you, Inquisitor man, would you like a pretzel? Only 5 copper.
He just kind of looks, how
Fresh
big
and
is this man?
tasty.
How big is this person?
A young half elf with short-cropped blonde hair.
Just kind of looks down a little bit at the person. Not interested.
Now you're missing out. They were baked fresh this morning.
I'm sure they're tasty.
And as you neglect this little pretzel salesman and to go find your skulking corner, we go to you, Hefzibah. Please describe your character for the audience and for the fellow players, as well as tell me what are you doing here in this festival of the vigil of the companion, and who are you with? Go ahead.
So we see 2 young women. One of them's a tiefling, and she's kind of being dragged along by the other. The tiefling is Hepzibah, and she's got this look of sort of sullen irritation on her face. Both are wearing wizard's robes, but somehow Hepzibah's has like a sash and a jacket that make it look more military almost. And the person she's with keeps leaning over and whispering to her about various people in the crowd, and she just kind of seems to be sort of tolerating it. This doesn't seem to be her kind of place, her kind of event.
Oh my gosh, there he is. Damien, isn't he so cute?
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
And who's this companion's name that you have?
Henrietta.
Henrietta. Perfect. And she's a fellow apprentice wizard like you?
Yes.
Awesome. As she drags you through this festival, there is an archery competition happening. And she sees the prize wall. Oh my gosh, that's so cute, she says, she points. You can see that whoever helped make these prizes was one of the resident toy makers, and sitting on one of the shelves, limping to the side a little bit, a bit weathered and worn and a bit unloved, maybe through time. This one hasn't left the shelf in a while. Looks to be that of a teddy bear with an owl's head, kind of just slumped and fallen and looking a bit stale, maybe a little bit moth-eaten, and a bit neglected. I want
hi,
that.
You never fail.
Henrietta says.
Well,
Can you win that for me?
maybe.
I have
I don't
such
think I'm
poor
allowed
hand-eye
to
coordination.
use. I don't think I'm allowed to use any of my powers in this, though. I mean, that
It's an
seems a
archery
little
competition.
shady.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't imagine you're allowed to do anything beyond pull the bow back and shoot the arrow.
yeah.
Because, after writing that exam, my wrist is just entirely shot. Can you please?
I don't have a
Please.
bow. I only have my staff.
They're right there. They're right there. They're leaning up against that little post right there.
Fine. And she storms over and grabs one of the bows and
The bowyer there and looks at you, kind of scoffs at your wizard adornments. 5 copper to play in the game.
and she
try your
gives
luck.
him a glare out of her extremely fiery red eyes, and counts out 5 copper and smacks it down next to the bow.
Thank you much, Lee. And hands you a bow with a little quiver of 3 arrows. You get 3 chances to hit the
Okay.
bullseye target.
All right.
And as you step up, there's like a line that you cannot cross, drawn in chalk on the flagstones of this square. You can see on the far side, about 20 feet away, is a little stuffed archery target made of hay and painted with that red bullseye propped up. You get to make 3 attacks with a short bow against this archery target.
Do I have a short bow? I don't think I
If
have
you
one.
don't, and I think you're not proficient with short bows, you can just roll dexterity. Make 3 dexterity checks.
Yeah, I'm proficient with a crossbow, but not specifically with a short bow. So I will roll dex. The first shot goes like right into the wood next to the target, like not even on the target. It just makes a really loud thunk, and she kind of shakes her hand where
The
the
bowyer
string
has
snapped.
picks
and,
at his nails with his little knife and chuckles at your incompetence.
and she glares again at him and pulls back the bow again. It's clearly maybe a little too tightly strung for her. You know, she's struggling a bit. This one doesn't even hit the wall. It goes sailing off into the crowd somewhere. Like it, you hear a startled squawk from the crowd, and
You immediately see
Hestiva
like a
kind
bunch
of
of
puts down the
chickens
bow
just
and-
fly out from where you
Yeah.
almost hit them. Yeah.
yeah, definitely there's feathers, and it's very exciting. And let me try this one more time. And the third one also hits the chickens.
Well,
Sorry.
better luck next time, the bowyer says, as he prompts you to leave the line. Immediately, another person behind you kind of just like looks at you a bit. It's like this young little child, maybe like not even half your height, maybe like 8 years old. Just this little twerp that just kind of scoffs at your bowmanship and steps up. It's my turn, the little runt says, and just like smacks down confidently the 5 copper pieces onto the table in front of the bowyer, as if like really proud of this huge feat, even though it's like the table's like higher than his head. As he picks up the short bow, Henrietta sees you kind of skulking back. Aw, I was really hoping you could. It looks so cute. Sure don't want to try again?
Told ya, I'm not that great at like actually attacking things with my hands. I'm much
Well, you're better
better
than
at
me.
magicking them.
And
Well,
defeated.
let's see how this kid does. You know, maybe he'll win it, and then it won't even be a thing.
You see the kid pull back the bow, straining, almost like leaning back into it because of the poor kid's small mass. Let's go. The arrow lands into the hay, just inches away from the bullseye center. He seems upset by this. Pulls back the arrow again. Lets it loose. Ooh, overshot it on the other side, but closer this time. He's grumbling. The bowyer's looking at him with like a coy smile, almost like a taunting look. The child rears back the 3rd arrow, pulling it back, letting it go, and strikes the bullseye.
Little bastard.
And he's like, "Yes, I want that one," he says. And the bowyer walks over to the cabinet of the toys and grabs this big wooden thing. It's some kind of like articulated wooden block of some kind of like dinosaur. But then you see the wings unfold. It's a wooden toy dragon. And there's like a button that the bowyer presses on the side, and this like paper of red and yellow shoots out of the mouth, pretending like imitating fire, and then retracts again. And the
Cool
kid loves
dragon,
it.
kid.
Yeah. And it's all mine because I won it.
Yeah, you did.
Not like
Um,
you stinkers. Before skipping away.
I think I'd like to try again. I want to use the bow he used.
It's right here, the bowyer says.
And she puts
That'd
down
be
another
5 copper.
five copper.
Now you can make 3 more rolls with it.
All right. Chickens again.
Who's shooting at my chickens? You hear a voice in
One of them lands sort of near the target, like on the edge of the target, like the
Mhm.
outer ring. And the last one, come on, a 15.
15 is what you needed to hit the bullseye.
Nice.
As the arrow, I think you've given up on the idea of aiming at this point, just
Yeah.
giving like blind luck.
She's
With-
at the
with-
point
with-
of I don't even care anymore, and just
You
Putting-
flinch, you don't want to even see where it's gone. And all of a sudden, Henrietta behind you, oh my God, clapping behind you. You did it,
Oh.
you did it, you did it.
oh, yeah, I'll take that one. She points to the
You
bear
did
with
it.
the owl face.
The bowyer says, almost like surprised. Good job. Pulls down that stuff, not quite ratty, but almost owlbear stuffed animal, and hands it to you. You can tell there's like it feels old and dusty. Kind of have to blow off the dust and pat it down. But you have a stuffed owlbear.
Okay, well, she tosses it to Henrietta.
And she is
You
most
wanted it.
pleased.
All right, let's go get something to eat, because after all that, I'm in need of some fattening food, and they've got to have something good here.
Thank you so much, Anya. I'm hungry too. Iraq, we go to you. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce your name, or is it Eric?
Eric.
Regardless, Eric. We go to you, Eric. Please describe your character for us, as well as what you're doing here in these festivities, and who you're with.
Eric is a very tall, older man, 6'2", for the most part, having his features looking like those of a man in his early 60s, a human man in his early 60s. White hair, kept relatively short and neat, but with a lock of hair that sort of spills down to the side a little bit. He's thin, but wiry, at least as far as anyone looking at him can tell. He wears a long leather duster of a dark color that sort of obscures his form a little bit. But it's his eyes that almost everybody notices immediately. No matter how dark it is, his eyes glow with their own white light, betraying his true ASMR heritage. And it's these eyes that are currently scanning the crowd as he moves through. Eric is alone. And Eric is in a state of constant vigilance, in that he's not looking for anyone or anything in particular, but he's keeping an eye out for troublemakers. I imagine probably taking enough, at least taking in potentially when, some of the deals that happen behind the midway games, where the festival carnies or whatever they're called, are maybe, if they're dealing in illicit substances or anything like that, it's, the occasional, young cut purse through the crowd, those aren't the people that Eric is keeping an eye on. There's little you can do to stop those kinds of things. He's keeping an eye out for any signs that might lead to bigger trouble in a crowded place.
As you're vigilant walking through the festival grounds, there are your peers, definitely under you, these Hell Rider guards. And as they see you walk by, almost like you're doing their job as they are employed to do, you can overhear them. They're not talking to you, but they're talking to each other, like this pair of them. He's got the seniority. Why doesn't he have this day off? The guy just likes to work. I don't think I've seen him relax a day in his life. And then one of them mutters something else, and then you imagine this is when you probably like look over to them, and you see that they're giving you very ominous looks.
I don't say anything to them, but I walk over to where they are, and I stand right next to them. And continue scanning the crowd.
It's an unfortunate day for you, isn't it?
How so?
All of them playing and enjoying the sun, and enjoying the day off. Here you are, working. Would have thought you'd had the day off. Everyone else your age has it. Yeah, or they're at the home, without being able to walk. The other one says back, mocking your age, of course.
Yeah, well, if I stay on duty, that I'm here at the festival, I don't have to pay any entrance fees. And if I'm on duty, I can knock a few heads in or bloody a nose or two, I say looking at the smartass, if I need to, and it's all in the line of duty.
Just unfortunate is all. The other one kind of gulps back a little bit of nervousness from your threat.
I would have thought you'd put in for the day off. I see all the other kids over there bobbing for apples. Thought maybe you'd want to join them.
There's like a moment where the one you're talking to rises to your threat. The other one, hand on the chest. Listen, just gotta wait a few more hours, and it's all over. Don't have to worry about this anymore.
Do I get the sense that he's just talking about the festival being over in a few hours?
You may roll an insight roll, please.
Okay. There's something about what he said there that I'm like, it's an 11.
An odd way of phrasing it, but you'd think, the sun is growing low in the sky. Things will be wrapping up soon. And imagine these two have been standing here for a while. They're probably just itching to throw back some ale and play some dice games to waste away the night and hit the hay to speak.
Well, a couple more hours. You can clock out on time. Go nestle up in your cozy bed. not have to worry, because the rest of us, more seasoned soldiers, will continue to keep the streets safe for you. Oh, and as I start to walk away from them, the one that started to rise up, I point at a one of the street urchins that's been weaving their way through. If you plan to go bob for apples or any of the other kids' games, that little shit's got your purse. And I walk away from them.
As you walk away, please make a perception roll, please.
Absolutely. That is a natural 20 for a total of 22.
As you walk away, when you feel like you would be out of earshot, but old man senses, I guess, have you listen just a briefest second more. You hear one of those Hell Riders whisper to the other, "It's a shame we got to lose someone like him. He's tough. He's mean. He'd do good." Shame he's stuck in his ways.
Hearing
And then-
that,
oh, go ahead.
I don't pause. I don't show any sign that I heard them. But as I'm making my way through the crowd, I'm going to intentionally maneuver through the crowd to wherever I see pockets of Hell Riders that are maintaining the peace. This time, not deliberately. Well, no, I take that back. I would deliberately walk past them, not stop by and antagonize them. But I'm going to kind of connect the dots moving through the crowd and just sort of almost like a sergeant of the guard patrolling through everybody that's there. But now I'm not only watching the crowd, I'm listening to the soldiers with my ears.
Make an insight roll for me, please.
Sure.
As you try to glean a little bit of info from these people that you pass by.
That is a dirty 20.
Many of them seem hesitant to speak when you're around, as if stopping conversation when you walk by. You do notice them giving you, all of them, a variety of very ominous looking looks. Looks of curiosity, looks of resignation, looks of almost like a teenage irreverence. Some of them give looks of sadistic glee that they have to hold back.
I'm
We
taking
will
all
then go
this in.
to. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying, I'm just taking it all in. I'm not confronting anyone. I'm going to continue making these rounds, as I said, and just absorbing this info.
We then go to you, Aeolian, the last of the players on this little round table. Please describe for me your character, what they look like, as well as who you've brought with you, and where you'd be here in the festivities.
Sure. So off to one end of the festival on a small stage, kind of raised up off of the ground, you see a young, fresh-faced, dark auburn-haired man in kind of just, they look almost like secondhand clothes, but they're nice secondhand clothes, with a sitting on a stool on this stage, strumming a lute that is far more expensive than you expect someone to be playing, dressed the way that he is. And he's just wrapping up this kind of slow, but very melodic, sad song. And the crowd around is kind of subdued as their attention is fully on this performance. Off to the side, you see Most of the crowd is common folk, but you do see under a small tent over to the stage right is a very elegantly dressed elven woman who's paying very close attention to this performance. And as he wraps up this first song, he stands up to some polite applause and takes a quick bow as he slings his lute over his shoulder, and he pulls out a hand drum, and very slowly begins to beat out a rhythm, and slowly bringing that the sound up and the volume up, and the rhythm speeds up from the slow pace of the previous song as he stands up from his stool and starts to march slowly around the stage. He starts to call out a call and response chant that some members of the crowd are able to recognize pretty quickly, and they start to respond to his calls. And he kind of gestures to the crowd as as using those that already know the words to this call and response to teach those that don't. And the crowd starts to get into this call and response as the tempo picks up. And he, with a flourish, tosses the hand drum onto the stool and swings this lute around his shoulder back and starts to strum as he moves from the call and response, holds a hand up to quiet the crowd, and slowly strums as he begins the ballad of 6 Days into Summer, which the crowd eagerly joins into the chorus each time he brings that call and response back to the chorus. And by the time he wraps up this performance, those that knew the song and those that didn't are eagerly joined in and singing at full voice with this performance as he strums the last chords and takes a deep bow to the applause of the small crowd around him. And then he walks off into the tent and just kind of looks expectantly at this elven woman that has been watching.
We see this elven woman. She's sitting on a stool next to her table with a candle lit in this tent. Even inside here, it seems like a different place. There's lots of cushions and curtains that make this little tent feel like at home. It also helps get away from the sun for a bit. The shade is a welcome feeling for being out in the day, all day. She has dark skin and even darker hair with pointed ears that would betray her heritage as an elf. Though as well, her grace and her elegance would also betray that as well. You know her. She is the noble Lady Yael Winwarin, and she speaks up. Exquisitely done, Eolian. That stage, though, is far too small for you. I know you've turned down all the other offers I've had, but I could have you in my amphitheater, joining my troupe.
I'm honored, my lady. I could not in good faith accept an offer without showing you truly what I was able to do. And it would give me no greater pleasure than to take you as a patron.
You've been saying that for the last 2 years, though, Eolian, yet you've never... I feel like you've always held back with your performances.
And I just kind of glance back at the stage. Well, I think you are right in that there's nothing more that I can do with this 8 foot by 8 foot plank of wood. Perhaps it is time to ply my trade on the amphitheater stage proper.
She pulls out a big, long scroll of parchment. It's a timetable. Apologies for my cat in the background. There's a long timetable of performances being held at the amphitheater. Oh, would you look at that? Seems they're wrapping up for the day. Imagine we can squeeze you in as the last performer. if you'd have that.
Today?
Tonight, yes. Was that too hasty for you?
I have nothing to wear. I kind of glance down. This is the best that I own. I can't play on the stage wearing this.
The folk around here like someone that looks meager and humble like yourself. That weathered road-traveled linens you wear, it's quite the fashion.
Fashion, it is not a choice. It's more necessity. It took me quite some time.
They don't have to know that. That's the thing. When you go on stage, everything becomes intelligent, everything becomes precise and decided.
How much time would I have between?
By the time you get there, you'd have to go on stage. I don't think that they would appreciate waiting too long.
Well, I suppose I can, maybe with a few tweaks, recreate the show I've just done. I have not anything else prepared, but do you think that would suffice?
I would imagine that you put a little bit more you into the performance, but I absolutely loved it. You saw how the crowd just swayed and danced to your rhythm. And they were uplifted despite this year's events. You pulled them away from all the toil of their lives, and that's something I wish to share with everyone here. Of course, that's a well-suited one. Though afterwards, after you're done, I wouldn't mind if you would return here in my company and tell me of this 6 Days into Summer character that you sing of.
Yes.
I'm ready to hear this song. It intrigues me.
I had the great pleasure of studying under 6 Days into
Not
Summer.
Not now, get moving.
Oh, yes, you're right. Well, and I kind of excitedly scurry back over to the stage, and I reach under the stage where I've placed my loot case. Again, it's way nicer than anything I have any business owning, but I very gently place my loot in the case, close it, latch it, swing it over my shoulder, and I reach up and I grab my hand drum, and it's got a little spot on the case to hang it. My lady, I cannot thank you enough. I will see you shortly.
I'll be in the stage watching.
And I will scurry off towards the amphitheater.
And as you scurry off toward the amphitheater, like bumping through people, trying to push past them, as you climb to the backstage area, and immediately it is your turn next to on stage. The lights, the candles, the great braziers that illuminate this place in this now like slowly dimming light as the sunset is slowly making us lose light here. You see, there is Lady Yael in the stands. How did she beat you here, you wonder? Well, perhaps it's that elven swiftness. But she looks cross-legged and a bit unamused, but also, you know, that's her face when she's wanting to hear one of your performances.
Mm-hmm.
You go up, and you probably battled stage fright many times over. This is your trade, but being up here is nothing like you've ever been. You may begin your performance. You see as the crowd becomes very expectant, so they're all eyes on you. And as you begin to play, you feel some kind of illusion magic happening around you that amplifies your sound, as if some kind of circle or area has been cast in this place to make voices and sounds boom out to the entire crowd. Think of it like a fantasy microphone almost.
So yeah, I think as I go out onto the stage, I realize that as I pull my lute out and I strum the first chords, I strum a chord for tuning, and I just kind of almost I'm able to catch myself, but I'm kind of startled at how full it sounds. I've been in the crowd in the amphitheater, but never at this end of it and realizing exactly what it does. But I will grab a stool and I will sit down, and and I start by playing this very slow, discordant tune as I tell the story of the vampire lord who lost his love and spent many centuries and lost his soul in the process of trying to find the one that he loved, committed many atrocities and died a horrible death, and was only vanquished by great heroes in the end. And as I unlike on the small stage, as where I play the entire song seated, as I get to, I stand up, and the strums of the lute are much stronger, and my voice is a deep baritone booming out, rising and falling with the tension of the song. And as I kind of stomp back and forth on the stage during the high points of the song, but then kind of slump back onto my stool during the more heartbreaking portions of the song. And then again, when I get to the end of that song, I pause a little bit longer and kind of slump my shoulders before reaching for my hand drum as I launch once again into the ballad of 6 Days into Summer. But this time I embellish some of the stories, or some of the tales, with even more flourish, telling of the weaving in stories of the sword fighting, and of a tale of 6 climbing a bell tower while storming a compound. And again, I use the entirety of the amphitheater stage as I tell this story, and as I get to the chorus, the call and response chorus, I'm leaning out into the crowd and gesturing for them to sing back, and I'm waving for all of them to stand up and sing the chorus along with me. And we wind up going through multiple repeats of the chorus as I finish with a spin of my lute that I catch and take that right into a grand bow for the crowd.
Everyone begins to applaud very loudly, but I don't imagine your eyes are on the crowd too much as you look up to where Lady Yale is, and she has a little smile that begins to creep across her face, and the gentlest of claps. And then with that performance ending, you realize the sky is growing pretty dark. All of you, from wherever you happen to be in this festival, you can have a feel the time winding down. People are getting a bit tired. The later night activities are beginning to take place as the scene is kind of shifting a little bit, as the last little sliver of sunlight is just hanging above the horizon. The sky is just beautiful, different colors, those rubies and reds and oranges. And then we can see it wink, gone. The sun dips below the horizon. The world grows dark, as it usually does when the sun sets. But you look around, wherever you happen to be standing, the fires, the candles, the braziers, the braziers even, the torches, they all begin to grow dim. And you can see within the flames, purples and blacks, this weird otherworldly fire licking at the base of the flame. There's ash that hangs in the air. It discolors the sky and falls to the ground, soot falling, these white little flecks everywhere. The companion sun grows dark as if overcome by a giant eclipse. It is hanging purple, dark, black in the sky, and then big crashes of lightning, purple in color, arc across the sky, originating from the companion sun. And all around you, you see there is the Hell Riders, these guards. Their armor contorts as horns will sprout from their foreheads, spines from their back, tails barbed puncture out from their rears. Big long claws extend from their hands that ruins their gauntlets that they may be wearing. One by one, all of you will see these Hell Riders transforming before your very eyes into these devilish creatures. A big conflagration of fire happens somewhere in the distance, and it comes landing almost like catapulted into the side of a building far on the other side of town. You see it begins crumbling from that impact. Those of you with keen ears that can hear sounds over the beginning commotion as people realize that something bad is happening. There's the sound of the great winching of chains. It was almost thunderous, this sound, big and clangorous. You can hear the yelling, "Oh my God, what is happening? Oh, by the companion, what is going on? Oh, Torm, save us!" And most of all, the one thing that you probably hear is, "To the High Hall, there they can save us." But we start at the top. Zoe, you're here with your uncle, Sam. You've been strode away from your goat ball game. Little bit discontent with your non-winning score as this chaos ensues. What do you do?
She will look at, excuse me, her Uncle Sam, and she will just say to him, "Okay, this is bad. Code red. I help. Start getting people. You know where the high keep is, right? Yeah, just go take them there. I'm gonna make sure others are okay over this way." She's just gonna start bolting. She's gonna go the opposite way of her Uncle Sam to start trying to funnel people and make sure nobody's caught in a crosshair.
Please give me a persuasion check to try to tame the crowds that are very distressed right now.
That is a 16.
As you try to shouting this way, as you try to just get some kind of order going on, you see that these now transformed devils, they've pulled out these wicked looking weapons that seem to be like made of like obsidian or iron, something like a black metal that's like arced with this like molten undercurrent that's like just cutting down people with like long glaives or sabers or swords or tridents even, as they begin cutting down all these civilians. And from their wounds you see this weird like smoke and hissing that looks very nasty as their bodies begin to like dissolve from those wounds. But the people are screaming, running. You get a decent number of people through. Jacob, we go to you. You're skulking in the corner, just kind of sitting, waiting. It's been no news yet. And then all of this has happened so far. And for you, when these nasty weapons pulled out by these transformed devils are pulled out. You feel just like this nasty sting in your jaw, the same way that that Frodo felt that Nazgul sting after being punctured by them. It hurts so bad. A reminder, reminiscent. What do you do?
First, it's going to be involuntary, the of the pain as it sears into the flesh again. And then with shocked and worried eyes, he's going to look around for Valaris and anyone around. Like, we're going to try to see like, who looks like they're in most danger right now from these creatures, and we are going to try to grab some of them, get them out of the way. I mean, this building that I was hiding in, like, it can hide some people. Let's move people out of this square where they're being
Let's give me a
killed.
stealth
Yeah.
roll to be able to yoink away these people without these devil men pursuers finding what you've been doing.
15.
You're able to like hushly go up to one that might be in danger nearby and urge them up into this building as you rescue a few refugees from this incident. And you see you were just in time as this devil wielding this massive spear, this glaive, barbed and wicked of that same horrendous metal. It's like turn the corner, but realizing and this devil would have found those people had you not saved them already, as you're like hiding underneath the windowsill waiting for this devil to pass. We go to you, Hephzibah. You're here with Henrietta as all this chaos ensues around you. What do you do?
Well, it's like the tables have been completely turned. This time it's Hephzibah pulling Henrietta along as she's like weeping and falling apart, and also trying to stop at every injured person and heal them, since that's where her talents lie. And she's like, no, we just need to get to somewhere safe, somewhere defensible. And she's dragging her towards the direction of the tower of the school, in the hopes that we can sort of shelter there with the other wizards, and that somebody more senior to her will know what's going on. And she's especially creeped out because of the Hell Riders changing. I mean, she knew some of those people, not well, but yikes, that's what the I don't even understand what's happening.
As you hurry along, dragging Henrietta back to get to your wizard tower where you have where you're in tutelage, all of a sudden, again, that same like catapulting hellfire comes, and it's coming almost directly at you. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw as you're running through these streets.
That is an 18.
Right, you only get licked by a bit of the scorching flame as you're able to duck around a corner. Only the barest of heat. You take 2 points of fire damage from this, as well as Henrietta will take 2 points as well. And she like you see like she has some burns on her shoulder from like a bit of the flame bouncing off and catching her robe as she pats it off. And as you continue down, you can feel you can see and hear more of these devilish hell riders, like marching through the streets, like grabbing people and throwing them to the ground and impaling them with their devil weapons, before you finally come across here where your wizard tower is, and it's gone. It's not reduced to rubble. It's not destroyed. There's a massive crater where it once stood. There's a weird smell like ozone that hangs in the air. You can make an Arcana check if you will.
Yeah. That's a 12.
You sense that there was some kind of spell contingency put on this place, this wizard tower. As you can see, kind of like the remnants of sigils carved in like the smoky crater where this once was, that form like almost like naturally in the cracks of the stone and earth.
So
Tower
do
has
I
vanished.
think that it's a contingency that like the wizards cast and the tower has gone somewhere safe? Or do I think
You wouldn't know with that arcana check.
okay. All right.
Yeah, but the tower has gone somewhere.
Uh
Has vanished.
okay. I'm gonna pull her into the nearest building then. I'm gonna glance around, try and find like a store or something, and just haul her in there just to get us off the streets.
Yeah, awesome.
And
Eric,
as I pass
Oh, boy.
some people that are on the ground, by the way, in
Mhm.
this running and stuff, I've been sparing the dying as I can, because it's a cantrip. Why not?
as you spend those times to cast that healing magic, just to spare them away from death, you don't really know what their fates will be, because it only stops them from bleeding out and dying. It doesn't stop them from, or it doesn't actually wake them up and regain them conscious. And a lot of them that are slain by these devil weapons, you can see, are being like disintegrated and reduced to ash and bone. And so those ones are beyond hope for your spare the dying spell. But ones that are damaging the collateral through like a collapsing building or a blast of fire, or even like the arcs of lightning that come crashing down and exploding. These ones you're able to at least save a bit with your spare the dying. Right, Eric, we go to you. It seems that your paranoia has been truly founded, as all of your peers around you had transformed into these devilish creatures, devils in their own right, with these hideous, menacing-looking weapons, slaughtering the townsfolk and festival goers, and even those that aren't going to the festival. As you see them storming into buildings and butchering them, what do you do as all this chaos ensues?
Immediately, whatever direction the crowd is fleeing in, I am fleeing toward whatever they're running from. But I'm also trying to move through them, and maybe even as I'm able, telling them, calling out, get to this place or go there, whatever's nearest. As I am yeah, I'm moving towards the nearest source. This is more than just my paranoia being triggered. This is my my oaths being challenged or called into action as a guardian of El Terrell.
And you see what the source of this is. It is 6 of these devils, 3 of which are tall, with these long, snaking, spiked tentacles coming out of the bottom of their chin. You don't even recognize their faces anymore. They've been contorted so much by being transformed into devils. Their armor, however, is what you recognize. It's like destroyed and displaced Hellrider armor. That cuirass that they wear is kind of like bent over to the side and kind of busted open from the gain of mass of these bearded devils. And then taking to the sky are 3 more of these devils. They don't quite have the horns of the others, but they have this purplish scales to them, these spines that run almost like a mohawk all the way down the top of their head, down their back, and huge wide bat wings and a long barbed tail, as they're holding out their weapons and flying about and cackling as they fly down and impale someone with a long pole, and that person will then dissolve and disintegrate into ash that blows away on the wind, and then a lightning flash comes down, which silhouettes these bat-winged devils in the air. As they're like just carving a path through the fleeing villagers, though they're becoming more scarce of targets now, as many people are fleeing. You stand adamant against them.
2 quick assessments would be that immediately there seems to be too many. Too many to take on head on. And the people that they are slaughtering wholesale, while there is a part of me that feels that in my core, these are people that are under my protection. And as a member of the Hell Riders, they're also beyond my ability to help them all. And I'm switching into, I'm sort of shifting into almost automatic soldier mode. Sort of, I almost imagine coming out, bursting through the crowd and seeing the scene that you described, making a quick assessment and quickly turning to dart through some of whatever remains of midway stalls or vendor stalls or whatever. I'm trying to find something. You mentioned the stage earlier, and there were bleachers arranged around that.
There's the amphitheater.
Oh, the amphitheater.
Yeah.
So that would actually go down. The amphitheater goes down in a depression. Okay.
Yes.
I'm looking for something that I can climb onto, even if it's to scramble up a pole or something. I need a higher vantage point so I can.
There would be a maypole that was used to dance. You don't know if it can like support your weight. There's like these taller buildings. If you can try to like scramble up to the top, onto the roof, like climb up the stories and then onto the roof, and then stand on top of the roof to get advantage near the chimney. There are many tall things. That's what I think of.
I think I would definitely look for. I'm not looking to straight up Assassin's Creed climb up the side of a building, but I am looking for something that I can sort of, things I can climb up to get up to a balcony, pull myself up, whatever. Because as I'm running through the crowd, I'm 62 years old and I'm dealing with injuries. So there is a slight limp in my run as well. So yeah, I'm looking for some way to get up high and just look around and take an assessment. I think in particular, I'm looking for, having been through all these places where the Hell Rider stations were, that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for. At least that's my plan as I'm heading up.
Awesome. Yeah, you get a good vantage point. You probably climb up some crates and barrels and hang up onto the edge of a balcony and pull yourself up. And you kind of survey the land down below you. Immediately what you see, those 6 devils that I had just described earlier, one other person seems to stand adamant against them, though backpedaling in fear. A bowyer with a bow, take that, you ugly sons of bitches, launching an arrow out of his short bow next to this archery game station. And as the arrow flies, that one of those bearded devils grabs the arrow mid-flight, like inches from its own head, with these talon claws, breaks it with a simple gesture, hefts up the glaive in the other, and throws it, impaling the bowyer man as he staggers. And then from that wound outwards begins like dissolving and disintegrating into a pile of bones on the ground. And you look around, and this kind of massacre is happening everywhere. Anytime someone has the gall to stand up to these devils, they get cut down mercilessly. You can see in the crowds that there are some people that are wearing Hell Rider armor, like yourself, that aren't devils, but they seem to be like prime targets, it seems, for these devils, that they're being cut down immediately. Almost like you even see one of these devils like pushing past civilians to get back, to get past towards one of these, with shakily with a sword and a shield, before being cut down and giving a bit more resistance than some militia, but nonetheless getting cut down as well. From here, you can see that the crowds are just like pouring in these like funnels and through the streets everywhere. You can see someone directing them, yelling loudly, a short of stature satyr, just yelling to direct them. And that seems to be doing a really, really good job over in the southern edge of the quarter. Though you see those 3 flying devils going right on her location, as they spotted her as a prime target.
Realizing, yeah, I think seeing that there are some Hell Riders that are doing their best, they know what they need to do, and they're gonna do what the best they can. I'm just sort of cataloging what I've seen as far as Hell Rider involvement, plus what I heard earlier, and I look over to where this satyr seems to be having some effect, and I'm more concerned about the devil flying that way. So I will scramble down and move as quickly as I can to where that satyr is, specifically trying to put myself between them and the devil.
And so as you make your way down, Aeolian, you're on stage, is all of a sudden, you can see the crowd of people. They seem to be a bit unaware of what's going on. You have full view of what's happening directly past them as this carnage is breaking out. You see like some confusion begin to stir among the stands until swooping down 1, 2, 3, 4 of those same like purple scaled flying devils wearing bent Hell Rider armor comes down and like with like these claws outstretched will just like rake as they fly by, slashing open necks and shoulders and stuff as they do these flyby attacks, and they go from the pain, just like raking down almost, and they cackle, these devils, as they fly by to do this. Immediately you see Lady Yael in the stand. She pulls out some kind of like some silver looking sword. She wields it with some kind of grace that you never have seen her use before, and she is fending off these devils and actually strikes out and cuts one of them in half, which splatters down on either side of her, going before collapsing still. What do you do as you witness all this carnage and chaos?
So I think as the performance ended, and I'm kind of basking in the glow of the moment, and then pretty much immediately start to see this carnage just kind of rain down, and I just in shock. I'm just like watch as my face just drops, and I just start to quietly at first just no, and then eventually just yelling no. And then as I see Lady Winwarin fending off these attackers, I just kind of this steely resolve kind of sets over me. And I reach down, and on my loot case is looks like a cane, but I grab that and I just start to run and push my way through. Loot is still strapped on my back, and I just pushing my way through the crowd trying to get to Lady Winwarin.
Make a dexterity saving throw, please, as one of these flying devils comes down, talons raised to try to like rip open anyone in their path. That includes you.
17.
All right, you are going to take barely any scratches from this, taking 2 points of slashing damage from the claws as you avoid the most of it. But even then, like the one claw that hooks into you is still sharp as hell.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
And I think I'm just kind of just twisting and darting in between people, not really much shoving people out of the way or anything, but kind of like you do at a concert where you're just trying to work your way through in between bodies, but very quickly. And as I get hit, I just kind of just cry out briefly, but again, just resolve to get to Lady Winwarin. I just continue to worm my way through the crowd.
And you get there, touching at the bit of bleeding on your shoulder. She's again like fending off with this sword, the claws of this other winged devil, though it's giving her a lot of distance, seeing the seeing the other devil like dead, cut in half at her feet. We're just like harrying her. And you can tell if that it seems to be this devil is almost like distracting her, while the other two are like ripping apart victims elsewhere.
Okay. And as I
Yolian, you're alive.
I am, and as I get up to her, I will reach down and I kind of on this cane, I kind of pull the base of it has kind of a false cover, and it's actually a yucca that I use as a cane when I'm just walking around, and I have that out with me, and I kind of just go back to back with her. It will be okay. I have faith in you. I didn't know you could fight. And I'm gonna cast bardic inspiration on her.
I didn't know I could fight either. She says as she's doing like these swordsmanship skills that far surpass like any like mortal, any like human or anything with swordsmanship.
Well, we're both seem to be having quite an eventful day then, and I will just keep an eye out for anything.
We have to get out of here. This is not safe. We're being surrounded by all angles here by these flying ones. If there's somewhere fortified.
I look around. Do I see anything that might be a good place to go?
I imagine like you look up to the top of the hill. We're at the kind of like the base of the hill. And at the top of the hill is the High Hall of Torm. It's like a massive castle fortress at the top of the butte. There's the High Hall.
That looks promising. Let's go. And I will just kind of reach and grab her by the elbow and just start to lead through the crowd in that direction.
As you weave your way through the crowd, you can see that this devil really isn't pursuing. It seems that it's happy that it's done its job of having you abandon these civilians as it goes, as these three devils just make their way through these once theater watchers. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take our break as we'll continue this game right afterwards. Take us away.
All right. Stick around. We will be back in about 10 minutes. See you on the other side. And we're here.
Welcome back, everyone. And so, as you are running through your various locations, guiding people or evading or avoiding some kind of nasty fate yourselves, Zoe, return to you as you're trying to beckon these crowds of people to have some semblance of order so they don't trample on each other and don't get lost. And all of a sudden you see three black-winged devils flying towards you, each wielding these almost like harpoon-like spears made of this strange devil metal. As they seem poised to strike, one of them throws it like a javelin, and it misses just barely, landing harmfully into the stone right next to you. You see someone running towards you. This person is old, but has that divine glow to their eyes of an ASMR. This is Eric, but I don't know if you know them. But it's a friendly face at the very least. You see that they wear Hellrider armor, just like the rest of these devils do, which may raise a bit of your suspicions. What do you do?
I'm sure she's probably seen him around, just with her wandering. And the moment she sees these devils coming at her, it is instantaneous. She's pulling her shield out and she is making sure to protect herself first. But as she sees javelins coming, and if there's a civilian in the way, she is moving to cover both of them with her shield and just kind of try her best to shield people. And when she sees this ASMR coming towards her, she's got her shield up, and with her free hand, she's waving. She's like, "Oh, good. This this helps. Yeah. Are we gonna do this? And she flicks her hand, and it starts to glow this beautiful bright gold color. And she's just gonna ready herself to attack if they start to go after civilians. Because as you described, they haven't hit a civilian yet near her. So
Yeah, so Eric, what do you do as you meet up with Zoe the satyr?
So as I run up, for a point of clarification, Eric wears a tabard of the Hell Riders, but he actually doesn't wear armor. Not even leather armor. But he does wear the tabard in the insignia of the Hell Riders. And I think for a moment, Zoe, you would see it appears as though Eric is waving back at you. And then you realize as I get closer that I'm going like this, motioning to all of the civilians around. And as I get within range, I just say to you, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Keep them safe. And I point to wherever, I think I would probably know. I don't know where it is in relation to here. But what I know that this High Hall of Torm is probably our best bet for safety.
You could probably glean that. It is also within view. It's almost within view of the entire city. You just kind of look onto the top of the hill and you see a giant castle. It's shining and glorious and poised there. And you look up and there's almost no devils in the air near it. Though it's hard to see. I guess you have the ASMR dark vision that can kind of help pierce through the night. But it seems like it's probably going to be the most defended place you can. Has the most walls of any place here.
Yeah, I would point in that direction. That's where we're going to want to go. And I'm interposing myself between where this satyr is and where the devils are sort of throwing in this direction. And I just almost pushing against your shield as you're standing there. Just don't just stand there, move.
Zoe is very short. And so she's looking up at you as you're pushing her, and she's like, I'm getting people. Just help here. You are bigger. Start pushing. Get through there. If anything comes by, you can just kind of slap it. Go.
As she says this, I'm just grabbing anybody that's nearby. And where I imagine Zoe was more like shepherding people, I'm grabbing people by their sleeves, their collars, whatever, and I'm almost throwing them at you. Move! If you want to live, go!
And so as you're both of you kind of pushing your way through this crowd with those 3 winged devils at your back, all of a sudden from the sewer grate ahead of you, maybe a few paces ahead, it bursts open in this explosion of stone and metal as this massive beast bursts out from the ground, and like the bits of the stone cave in and splatter some people and crush some others, and the big sewer grate comes down and impales another person on the ground as this huge monstrosity rises out from the sewer itself. It has these massive mouth that is the entirety of its body. It has these pustule-like eyes that are like blinking discordantly, as well as these massive claws, like hook-handed, almost like a velociraptor, 3 of them around the base of its body, and these stumpy little legs that crawls out. And you see that it's dripping wet, almost like with a sludge, with this ichor that falls down off of it, that's jet black in color, that's like dripping out of the drooling big maw of a mouth that opens like this. Definitely not sewer water, that's for sure. As it goes ahead and like grabs another person by the head with this massive arm and puts it in the mouth and chomps it into its gullet. Immediately, if if you're perceptive, you can look back and see those winged devils, and all of a sudden they kind of stop mid-flight, are assessing this thing up ahead, and one of them throws the harpoon and it lands right into one of the arms of this massive creature, pinning it like to the stone for a moment before it like rips out again to kind of just lash about. What do you do, Zoe, as this massive monster is ahead of you?
Oh, fantastic. With this monster popping up, the clicking of her hooves, you can hear them kind of slide to a stop as this thing just erupts from the ground. And she looks up at it, and her whole torso kind of twists to turn to see the devils that are coming up behind them. And she watches for just a moment as she sees that harpoon go, and it tries to pin this thing down. And she goes, great, distraction. And she is going to look at Eric and with her shield in one hand, she's going to use her other hand, and she's basically just going to like make this wide circle and be like, around.
I'm not sure I catch your meaning. Are you motioning like you're saying to move
She's
to go around it?
Yes, to go around it. Like he goes on one side, she goes on the other, type of thing. And they shuffle people around it as best as they can.
Yeah, I think I kind of see what you're getting at, and taking advantage of the fact that the devils are now fighting this monstrosity. And again, unceremoniously, I'm grabbing people and just sort of go with them, and start motioning. And I guess I would sort of stand almost like this, creating a thing, just grabbing people and shoving them around to the one side. Keeping my eyes on both the monstrosity and the devils in case I need to toss some hands.
Do either of you speak Infernal?
Oh, let's see.
I
As you can
might hold
hear
on.
These three winged devils hiss something in the infernal language to each other before readying
I do
another
not.
I also do
blow of
not.
javelins. They hiss something and again let volley another round of javelins, which injure this thing, but not sufficiently to slay it. It seems to be looking upon the two of you as the others have kind of been pushed away. All the other civilians have kind of pushed away a bit too far to reach, but you're right there, these tasty morsels, as this massive maw of a creature advances towards the two of you. It will lash out at, let's see, that will be you, Zoe. It will make an attack roll against you. And grabbing with its claw and pulling you in to bite you. That's going to be a 21 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Which will do 8 points of piercing damage to you. Sorry, slashing damage to you.
Yeah, Zoe's not looking great.
Then it goes to your turn, Zoe.
Whoosies. Zoe is going to. Oh, yeah. Well, first thing she's gonna do is she is going to use she's going to use cure wounds on herself to get some health back, because ow, that hurt.
All right, awesome.
So let's
Roll for
do
that.
that really quick. And she's gonna get 9 hit points back, so that brings her back up.
All right, it goes to you, Eric. What do you want to do? As you see this thing slash out at the satyr Zoe while being bombarded by these javelins.
At this point, the fact that all of this has happened and has literally happened on my watch, it's too much. It's too much happening, too much out of my control. And Zoe, if you happen to be looking at Eric in this moment across from this monster, you just see as the white glow in my eyes flares brighter for a moment, just with a, and I put my head down for a second, and then when I look up, those glowing eyes are narrow slits as I bonus action rage. And I am going to punch this thing.
Pow.
That is going to, no. Oh, that is a 24 to hit.
That is going to be sufficient.
And
I will say.
because I am a fighting initiate specializing in unarmed fighting, and I am not currently wielding a sword or a shield, that punch is going to do 1d8 plus 3 damage. As I just haul back my fist and slam it into this thing for 7 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh, wow. You knock this thing. It's been harried and injured by those javelins, but you have bloodied this thing with this.
Get out of my
wicked blow.
city!
And it gargles something at you with some nasty multiple tongues in that massive maw that it has. Nothing, of course, that is understandable to you. As you knock some of those teeth loose with that massive punch. But then, of course, it'll be its turn once again, and it'll, enraged, just like you are with it, it will try to grab you with 2 claws, to grapple you, to pull you into its bite, into its gullet. So it's going to make an unarmed strike against you, to grapple you, because that's the new grappling roll. How about a 13?
Wait, it's
That
doing.
does hit you.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were using the new rule. What's the new rule?
We're doing the grapple rule. It's trying to grapple you. So it's trying to beat your AC.
Oh, okay. My AC is 12.
So it grabs you, and lifts you off the ground with this pair of hooked claws, and pulls you into its gullet, where you will take 3 points of acid damage from its digestive mouth as the world grows dark, as the teeth close around on top of you as you're being swallowed. You can feel the sickly multiple tongues kind of wrapping, and they're like spiked even more so than like a cat's tongue, and they're kind of ripping, lacerating your skin. But you notice that there is not much of an effort to like murder you inside this mouth, as more just like to contain you. That's one thing that you notice.
That's somehow worse.
Zoe, you look up above as you see that these winged devils no longer have their javelins. They have nothing to fight with. They will then resort to the tactic that Aeolian saw earlier, just like doing these flyby rakes and slashes. The 3 of them all will do concerted efforts to slash at this demon, doing damage to it. It's looking on its last legs. It goes to you, Zoe, now. Your friend, Eric, has been grabbed and swallowed by this massive creature. What do you want to do?
She is going to take out her mace and try to hit it.
All right.
So let's
Give me that attack roll,
see.
please.
Oh, that is a 10. I don't think that's gonna hit.
A 10 does not hit.
Mhm.
It bounces off
Yeah.
of the rubbery flesh that this thing is made of, harmlessly.
The rubbery flesh. And then let's see. Yeah, that is all I am going to do for now.
All right, then we go to you, Eric. At the start of your turn, you'll take some digestive damage, 1 point of acid damage, but then you may do your turn. You are grappled, which means that attacks you make are at disadvantage, and you cannot move. Otherwise, you are kind of like free to do stuff inside of the gullet of this massive thing. Inside here, you can kind of feel with your feet and your body. There's like it's a lot of stuff inside this demon. Whether it's remains of other people, other beings, belongings that don't quite digest, bits of rock and rubble, etc. There's just a bunch of stuff in here that make the footing a bit uneasy. What do you want to do?
I mean, I want to. Is its mouth closed? Can I see its teeth or
Yes.
any light up above?
You can barely, you can probably see no light coming through, but your ASMR dark vision probably gives you a bit of, gives you the vision you need to move and act in here.
I think that I'm going to. I am going to. I want to try to punch my way out of this thing.
Awesome. Yeah, give me that attack roll with disadvantage.
Actually, no, I'm not going to punch my way out. It feels that like the better way to get out of this might be to cut my way out. I'm going to draw my. Well, how tight of a fit is it in here?
It's not that tight of a fit. Like the tightness is from the tongues. This is very disturbing to describe this way. It's quite spacious in here. You imagine that at least it almost feels bigger on the inside than the outside. It feels like an elevator in the room in here.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna draw my long sword and just try to slit this thing open from the inside. You said that's at disadvantage?
I'm rereading the rules. You do not get the disadvantage when you're attacking the thing that is grappling you. So it's a normal roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will
'Cause they're
roll
so
straight
close.
up with the long sword. I'm holding it two-handed. Yes, that is a crit. That's my second crit tonight.
Wow, nice. That's going to be full damage plus a roll.
That's gonna start off at wait, something's not right here. Oh no, I see why. It automatically doubled the dice, that's why. So it'll be 13 points plus the D10 for two-handed. So that's gonna be 16 total slashing damage. As
Describe for me what it's like as you not only slay this monster, but free yourself. You can describe this for me.
So I think there's this moment where from the outside, Zoe just sees Eric get completely engulfed by this thing. And there's this moment of, now what? And then you see from its guts, you see the silver of a blade just go, and then you watch as it goes upward. And with the viscera and gore that spills out, you see, and I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Hey, at least you made it out. let's get out of here.
And as you cut this thing open, it begins like regurgitating in its last moment all the things it swallowed. Both of you, please roll me 2d8s. Don't add them together and tell me what you roll.
We're each rolling 2d8s?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
7 and a 4.
I got a 3 and a 4.
All right. Regurgitating as well as Eric cutting himself loose, begin flowing out of this like digestive enzyme, a beehive, an iron skillet, and 2 corroded gauntlets, each with like still like a skeletal hand inside the hand sockets. As this thing begins to liquefy and become just a strange goopy puddle of melted flesh at your feet.
I think there's
Stuck
this
to your boots.
there's this moment where as I come out of it and this all this other stuff spilling out, that I'm just like, and one of the skeletal arms with the gauntlets like stuck on my jacket, like just throw it to the ground. The Hall of Torm. I'm still spitting gore out of my mouth. Just let's go.
Zoe grabs a little handkerchief that she has and she offers it to Eric as they're running. Here you go.
Thank you.
We then go to Jacob. You've been hiding in this building, trying to like grab refugees and survivors when you can, but the more and more time you spend here now at this town square, the more dire the situation gets. Like there's buildings on fire, there's just not really bodies, disintegrated skeletons and corpses and ash piles everywhere. There's these devils just marching through the streets, carving people, butchering them. It's a massacre out here. Their numbers seem to swell by the minute. You can hear a concerned voice raise out from in the shadows behind you. I don't think it's safe here. We gotta get somewhere safer.
You're right. We can't stay here. It's too dangerous. We have to make it to the High Hall. That's the only place we could fortify enough to hopefully survive.
Can we make it that far? This place is crawling with them.
We have to.
Monsters.
We have no other option. Be
What's-
quiet. Line up behind me, and let's go.
All right. You can give me, please, a stealth roll as you lead your little duckling train of survivors through the streets.
Can I use a reroll?
It would cost you 3 soul
Yeah.
coins to do so.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
you may.
We have 11 because of our generous audience. Now we have
Down to 8.
That was really bad. Okay, so you said stealth?
Mhm.
15.
Awesome. As you are moving through these streets, you're guiding these people. There's 8 of them that you've saved so far. They've been, maybe the adrenaline has helped keeping them on their toes, quiet. They have not made a sound yet that betray your presence, and you've been making good progress through the streets of El Terrell, trying to make your way up to that high hall of Torm. When all of a sudden you pause because you hear something up ahead. Is around the corner, if you were to peek out, you'd see one of these devils coming down the street, about to cross paths with you. What do you do?
I beckon.
Specifically, it's one of the bearded, like the spiked bearded devils. Single, all by itself, wielding a glaive.
Yeah, I beckon to the people behind me to be quiet and kind of move to the side. And I am going to pull up my short bow, step out and shoot it.
All right. You may make your roll with advantage because you're striking from hidden.
Oh, I got a 20. So that's a 26 to hit.
Another crit.
So that's a crit, which automatically hits. You get to do max damage plus a
Okay.
roll of your dice.
Okay, so 10 plus 5, so 15 points.
Is that including your sneak attack?
Not including my sneak attack. Oh, I even get sneak attack. So max on that as well, plus a
Yes.
roll? Okay,
Yes.
so
21 plus a d6.
thank you for mathing for me.
Mhm.
Plus 2.
So it's
so 20.
23 damage. Ooh, that's a big chunk of damage. Unlike the bowyer, who could not get a single point of damage before being killed by the spear, you're able to get a meaty sinking shot right somewhere vulnerable between the armor plates of this bearded devil. That was 23. So immediately looks around to try to find who shot this arrow and sees you. A grimace, a malicious grimace, opens up on this creature's face as the beard itself begins to animate, almost like there's snakes kind of coiling around, almost like an inverted Medusa. Instead of them being snakes, they're like these barbed beard tendrils. As it advances towards you, wrong move, it says. Though you realize it's saying that in Infernal, which you're able to somehow understand.
I think I probably don't actually realize it's infernal at this moment,
Mhm.
but I do understand it, which at this moment I do not think is odd. But we'll come back to that one.
And it will move its 30 feet to close the distance to you. You're dead. Worse than dead, you're damned. As it tries to bring its glaive down upon you, Jacob. It will attack you. Does a 12 hit you? It does not.
It does
Because you're able
not.
to just
So I-
barely dodge out of the way.
I taunt back. That's what they all say. I am damned, but what do they know? In a voice that isn't raspy and is. I think I'm talking common, but I'm obviously not to the people behind me.
Ooh. It is now your turn, Jacob. These 8 civilians that you've saved, they're kind of waiting for you to say something to them, and they're startled by you speaking Infernal all of a sudden. Do you give them a command of what to do? This will be a free action on your turn, not a real action.
I turn to them.
Run, you fools!
Fly, you fools. Yeah.
As I take out, drop the bow, take out my short sword, and attack back.
All right, give me the attack roll.
14 plus dirty 20.
That will hit.
I do not get sneak this time, though, right?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, max damage. So 10 points.
All right. This thing is almost like shrugging off your blows. The amount of damage you've done so far would have easily killed any person by now. You're sure of it. And this thing, you haven't even bloodied it. It's shrugging off your attacks. The muscles and skin of this thing seem almost like ultra hard. This like wicked blow that you do with your sword barely gives it a paper cut as you slice across its flesh. But again, the civilians behind you, the 8 of them, they just bolt, they move for it, and this bearded devil will take an opportunity attack against one of them running by, charging, slashing forward with that wicked-looking glaive, and impales one of them before throwing them up into the air. And the person sinks further down onto the tip of the glaive before death wailing and then disintegrating due to the this magical effect of these weapons before these bones clatter down, bouncing off of the shoulders of this bearded devil with the skull limply hanging balancing on one of the shoulders as one of the beard tendrils wraps around it and then almost like props it up like a little puppet or marionette to taunt you with it before the other ones go around and crush it as the bone crumbles, falls to the ground. That was your turn, and it goes to its turn. You sure you want to do this? It says to you before standing back, and all of a sudden these beard barbs lash forward to you like snakes to attack you. It's gonna be a 15 to hit, which does hit you.
Yes, it does.
Make a Constitution saving throw, please, as you take 5 points of piercing damage.
Oh, I failed the Constitution. It's a 4.
You are poisoned. Some kind of vile poison begins to course through the wounds that you've taken. While poisoned this way, you are unable to regain hit points.
Do I have the poison condition where it says I have disadvantage as well?
Okay. Yes, you do as well. You can, however, repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns to shrug off this poison.
Okay, you said I can't
regain hit points while poisoned this way.
Okay.
It goes to you. As you've been lacerated by these poisoned beard tendrils. What do you want to do?
The people that I was leading, have they all gotten away at this point? Besides the one that
yes. Besides the one that died, yes.
Okay. Action, I'm going to attack. Sorry, that's not an action. Action, I'm going to disengage. And then I'm going to run.
Yeah, you are able to do so. So you're attacking, then disengage, and then run?
No, I don't get that bonus disengage yet because I'm not high.
Oh, that's right. That's a second level thing.
Yeah. So as my
those
action,
are
I will
too
disengage.
rookie.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I'll book it.
Okay. It will not pursue, you see, as it kind of shrugs. It wants to find a bit more of a fun butchering than someone like you. Or perhaps it thinks that you'll succumb to its poison within a bit. It's no sense in pursuing you now. As you try to catch up with your group of survivors that are trying to make their way to the high hall, we go to you, Hepzibah, at the base of this. You've left the base of your tower, now long gone as a creator. You've stolen yourself away into what seemed to be like a small shop. You look around, you realize what kind of shop this is. You've been here before, actually, before all this chaos has ensued. This is an alchemist shop, but its owner seems long gone, though lining the walls seem all kinds of potions and tonics and alchemical ingredients and stuff like that. Henrietta follows along behind you and slams the door shut and like locks it in place, trying to catch her breath as she's terrified of what's happening. Oh my God. Are we the only ones that made it?
I mean, if they can make the whole tower disappear, then I mean, we're hardly safe in a store. We have to go up there. We have to go to the Hall of Torm.
That's so far away.
But that's where everybody will be. That's where we can we can have other people to defend us. That's where you'll be safest.
She realizes where she is, and kind of like eyes go wide. These are potions. These could be useful. We could find something here that could help. I don't know if there are the injured and dying. Maybe there's some healing potions here. Or I've seen a potion that turned a rat into the size of a horse. Maybe something like that could be useful.
If we wanted a rat to attack us, yeah. But come on, let's
No,
find
not for the
something.
rat. For us, we need to kick aside one of those monsters.
Oh, maybe. Okay, well, let's see what we can find. And, she's going to look for healing or any sort of offensive potion.
Mm-hmm.
Or possibly invisibility if she happens across that.
You may roll for me
Mhm.
an investigation roll with advantage because Henrietta here is aiding you. She's helping you.
Okay, there's one. And I know there's a way to do that that doesn't involve me rolling twice, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. 18.
Oh, awesome. Roll for me, please. 2 d4s. And you can add them together and tell me what you get.
That is a 3.
3 total.
Mhm.
You find as you're rummaging through this place, you're not quite too alchemically keen on, you can't identify these things that don't have labels nearly as well as a trained alchemist could. But there's one thing that you do recognize in the corner here is a huge cask. It has the label Alchemist Fire on the side of it. It is a huge cask of Alchemist's Fire. You see there's lots of little vials. You see the spigots. You could fill up vials of Alchemist's Fire if you so wish. Or you imagine this could do quite a something if this whole cask were to be set ablaze in one go. The choice is yours. In addition, you find a potion of cure wounds and a potion of invisibility that you're able to identify. Otherwise, the other ones that you find, you really don't know what they are. You don't know if they're potions or poisons. If drinking them would even be a good idea at all.
I forget, did Henrietta get injured on the way over here?
Yes, scorched with some burn wounds.
Okay. I wonder if we can split this cure wounds between us. I doubt it. Here, you better take it then. And she casts mage armor on herself. Because now that she's not panicking, she can think and, decides that that's a good idea. Which bumps up her armor class to, what is it, 13 plus dex, so 14. Yay. And she hands the invisibility also to Henrietta, and tucks the cask of.
This is a massive cask. Like it's
Okay.
It's not a tuck the cask, it's a heft the cask. Like,
Heft
one
the
of those
cask.
like, imagine like a water jug for one of those
Yeah.
like office water. Yeah, it's one of those big things.
I
But
hate
made
those.
of it's like alchemically lined with like lead or something too to stop it from activating spontaneously. It's a big heavy thing.
What's the geography here? Are we above? Like, have we been running up a hill to get where we
Not
are? Like, if I
not-
shove it out the door and start it rolling down the road, would it maybe go somewhere that
It'll
there's
roll
gonna be
somewhere. Absolutely.
somewhere with like bad guys, or just somewhere in general?
You don't have that much control over it.
Okay, then I think I'm just gonna take a couple of vials of it.
Right. You can get 10 vials of Alchemist's Fire
Nice. Okay.
to draw from this thing. Drawn from this thing.
I'm gonna 5 for me, 5 for her. And I don't know if she's willing to use them, but whatever. And then I are you ready? I can't think of anything else we need to do before we try and get up there.
That's we're as ready as we'll ever be. I don't know what else these could be. She kind of gestures around to all the other supplies in this shop.
It's a shame, but we only have a limited amount of time too. So let's go.
Okay. As the two of you hustle out, as you go through these streets, again, there's this huge crash of lightning coming from the companion, now black and dark and purple, comes crashing down on a building right behind you, right where that alchemist shop is, and like crashes a hole through the wall, and all of a sudden you can kind of smell that fire coming out. Something was caught ablaze inside that shop.
Oh, I
Just
bet you it was a
moments
big
after you
cask
left
of
it.
alchemist fire, perhaps.
Good thing it wasn't a cask of alchemist fire. As you're racing through these streets, trying to find your way to one of the entrances to that butte where the high hall is, you see a pair of leathery wings, small, almost bat-like, come down, fluttering in your periphery before it kind of just makes itself bigger in a little sparkle of dust and ash, as a small imp hangs on a windowsill next to you. But before he can even speak, we go to you, Aeolian. You've been racing with Lady Yale as you've been slicing at any daring of devils that would try to pursue you, though it seems that they're giving Yale at least a lot of distance, seeing that Yale has cut down a lot of these devils, and they're not willing to be cut down themselves. The High Hall, it's just past this bridge, she says. She points up to the High Hall. Did you say anything back?
I'm just continuing to go. I think at some point, I would have grabbed a short bow off of a body or something. I've got that slung over my shoulder. I am completely focused on getting us where I've still got kind of like when she's not fighting, I'm trying to keep a hand on like elbow or the like the sleeve of her gown, so that we don't get separated in the carnage.
All right. As you cross this bridge, you glance over it out of some instinct. Maybe you glance over it because you realize that there is no river running through underneath this bridge. You see below you a great expanse, this great distance, as just this chasm. You can barely even see the bottom. As you get this intense vertigo, that you realize that the city of Elturel somehow is hundreds of feet in the air. And if you were to squint and kind of try to look through that smoggy atmosphere below you, you can just see and hear the sounds of war. There's no other word for it going on below you. And as you kind of go ahead.
I think as I'm running across this bridge, and I see this, I kind of just slowly kind of come to a stop and just kind of like stare down in like a confused awe before as Lady Yale continues on, like while I've got a hold of her elbow, I'm kind of like yanked back into reality, and I'll continue now running a few steps behind her.
And as you beginning to like cross the midway point of this bridge, there's a huge lurching that happens, as if the ground beneath you shifts massively, and you realize that the city of Elturel is starting to cave in on itself by some greater pressure. You see that the bridge is beginning to crack underneath the stress and strain of this tectonic movement, as the bridge breaks with you on one side of the bridge and Yael on the other side, as the chasm is slowly expanding. You have moments to act here.
Am I on the tower side or the other side? She's ahead of me, so
yeah. So she'd be on the High Hall of Torm side. You'd be on the other side.
How far is what's the distance to the?
Well, 1 inch, then 2 inches, then 3 inches. Then
I jump.
Yeah. All right. By the time you regain your footing from the lurching of the earth, you have to make an athletics roll to kind of like get momentum uphill, because the bridge is starting to be at a slant now.
Oh man.
Make an athletics.
I'm gonna go ahead and roll that with advantage if I could. With a carry. It's a 4 with advantage.
You just call that a carry?
Yeah.
Harry's
Mhm.
not in this game.
I know it's canon though. So
You jump, and unfortunately, you don't make it. The world is pulling away faster than you thought. As you slip on the rubble and don't make it, you begin to fall through the gap of the bridge. A hand clasps around your wrist. Yael's arm grabs you. She's kind of like pulling. She's happy that you aren't too big of a person as she tries to hold you. She's having difficulty pulling you up, even with that uncanny elven strength that a lot of elves have. As you realize that there's some of those winged devils flocking above, like vultures on their prey. Come on,
and I'm gonna do everything I
just
can to
reach. Just come on.
find purchase with my other hand
Mhm.
and try to scramble up.
So we need another athletics roll, aided with advantage from Yael trying to pull you up.
14.
She pulls, and you can finally get your second hand up onto something to grab onto and pull yourself up over the edge and kind of roll down. You begin to kind of tumble down this bridge. But as you do so, these winged devils go down to strike, seeing your vulnerable state. One on each of you, one on Yale, one on you, to come down to rake at you. This one rolls a natural 1. So perhaps you see it coming, you can kind of like tuck in and roll much faster, and it like crashes into the stone cobble that was the stone, kind of like loosening stones, and you've heard a wing break from the impact. It's a nasty snapping noise, but you see that Yael get a huge slash across her chest that is now reddening from her bleeding down her chest.
Okay.
But she gets her footing and like runs and away.
And I
trying to catch
will
up to you.
scramble to my feet and start to run towards her to close the gap, and then kind of turn and start running alongside towards the tower.
One by one, with the exception of Hephzibah and Henrietta, you've made your way to the high hall of Torm. But for you, Hephzibah, there's this imp sitting patiently that calls to you. It knows your name somehow. Hephzibah, I know you are fleeing this place. I can grant you safe passage up to that hall in which you seek. If you would just follow me. There are devils and demons alike that would wish to rip you asunder. But I can offer you safe passage.
Why would you do this?
Why?
Yeah,
I do
Why?
not wish you dead.
why not?
You have a blood in you. It is a debt that I owe. A debt that would be repaid
Not repaid by me.
by me, of course. So your forefather.
I don't think he had any friends among the imps and devils.
He pulls out this huge long parchment scroll out of seemingly nowhere, and it comes rolling down and like hits the ground and rolls even more. It's like 12 feet long. This is the contract I had signed with Lord Haryaman, your forefather. That would put me in allegiance, in debt to him. But of course, there is a little caveat here that I can get out of this debt by helping out one of his sire's children and children's children instead. A little coy trick I've put here. I know that, well, I can make this contract of mine go away by helping you, ease my burden, and help out you, of course.
Why would he make a contract with you?
Let's just say that there is client confidentiality.
Wait. You're saying that my grandfather was a client of yours? No. He is a he is
Do you
a
want
warrior.
me to help
He
you
is
or not?
uh, 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 he fought to keep
You
our
go that
city
way, you will die. I am sure of it. Follow the little imp here, moi, and you'll be guaranteed safe passage.
safe
up to your high
passage for
hall.
my friend too.
Of course, of course.
There's all these devils. What do you think, Henrietta? D- It's an imp. I don't think it's.
I think it's being honest. Look at all those words on that contract. If there's one thing I know about devils, that they keep their word. That's the one thing I know. That's one thing I remembered from my planar studies class. Don't you
It's
remember
true.
that too?
Yeah. Okay. All right. If it's in here in this contract, then we will hold you to it.
Of
And
course,
she
of
grabs
course.
her friend's arm and says, "Okay, where do we go?"
And then the imp with a clawed finger draws literally a doorway that kind of like sparkles, and a door appears literally in the middle of the road, and opens it as it casts Dimension Door to allow the two of you through it. After you.
What do I see through it?
Just like swirly, inky darkness.
Okay.
Remember
Okay,
what she
going.
said, a devil always keeps its word.
But you
Do you
didn't
hop
give
through the
me your
Dimension Door or
word.
not?
Okay, I walk through the dimension door because I'm an idiot, apparently.
You and Henrietta appear in the High Hall of Torm. So all of you, all five of you now, in your various states, one after the other, you'll see each other come in. You're in the High Hall of Torm. Here, the doors have been barricaded, with like the pews kind of pushed up against the doors. The windows been become to get boarded up. And this is where we're kind of ending the session here. Well, we are ending the session here. As all of you regain your breath, whether you've been running here, racing here, you've been now you're bandaging your wounds, tending to the ill if you're okay, or just hopping through a dimension door all of a sudden. One of you perhaps will get the vantage of going up onto the balcony to see what's going on. But as this scene comes to an end, as this session comes to an end, we pan out, we see the cracked city of Elturel hanging on a moat of earth above the ground, hanging in the air. Not the air in the normal mortal world, however, not in Faerun, but a world red and black and barren, with soot and ash and fire in the sky, anchored on 8 points, throughout the city on the edges of Elturel, with these huge chains ripped from the city down to the ground below. You see a great coursing river of black coursing through the ground way below the city of Elturel. The companion sun sits high, black, ominous purple, and wreathed in lightning, pulling in almost like a gravity, like almost like a black hole, just sucking in Elturel into its lightning expanse. There's some kind of war battle between more of these devils that you've seen below on the ground beneath the city of Elturel, at the banks of this river, where on one side is this blasted, red, rusted landscape, and on the other side is this yellowish savanna of great ridges and gorges, with these huge iron spikes that grow to the ground as if they were trees themselves. It's almost as if there's two different worlds on either sides of this great river that courses through right beneath the city of Elturel. And we can see these chains winching as Elturel is slowly being dragged into hell. And that is where we're going to end our session and pick up again for part 2 of Damnation next week. Same time, same place, same cast, same clothes next time around. No, actually, not same clothes. But... Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for playing. And I will kick it off to you, Jake, for closing shindigs.
That was awesome. Thank you, Vi, for helming this, what is sure to be an incredible campaign that is off to an amazing start. As Vi said, we will be returning next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and then beginning October 4th, we will be playing every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. While we go to hell. And this already is shaping up to be some amazing characters with some incredible players here. Before we go, I did want to say a huge thank you to everybody, some of whom are people sitting around the table here with their meta support for the channel and for the soul coins above us that we used a handful of these, but thank you to everybody who did that. Also a reminder, tomorrow night, right here on twitch.tv/miniterraindomain at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, you can catch myself and Karen and Dwight and a couple others as our friend Carrie debuts her first time ever anywhere, at home or on stream, GMing any kind of role-playing game with The Darkness Outside of Broken Branch, an original Pulp Cthulhu scenario. As Mythos Investigators returns to its monthly spot once a month on Wednesday, tomorrow, September 14th. And then, of course, Dawnbringers will be here on Thursday. You can type !schedule if you want to see what's going on. Again, thank you to everybody that supported, everybody in the chat. If you're somebody who watches silently, in the chat, we also appreciate you and hope you enjoy the show. In just a moment, we are going to throw a raid over to That Bronze Girl is running a high quality all Desi cast, all South Asian personnel for in support of their kickstarting a Desi book. So we're going to send you all over there in just a moment. Finally, I want to thank our amazing DM Vi and these amazing players, Karen, Dwight, Nicole, and Sarah, without whom this would have been just Vi talking to herself for a couple of hours. With that, we're going to end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
Today.